right, welcome to another episode of The Sound. I am Kevin Harris.
I'm Lisa Wills.
And I like how we've gotten rid of the numbers.
Yeah.
Now it's just we're just flowing through interviews and said, fuck the numbers. Let's just go. It's another episode. So
Hi, we're back.
I'm sure we're well over 200 now.
We've got to be over 200 at this point.
So I haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on?
I know. Nothing. You know, my day job is actively trying to kill me. Other than that, I'm okay. I just saw Dead Eyes again last week at Canal Club on their tour with the Browning, and I'm going to be seeing them 3 times while they tour with all that remains and Board of Osiris. I've got Rock on the Hill coming up in Pennsylvania. Got some other like smaller shows. I'm tending to stay away from like any arena shows this year. I'd much rather see a band in a smaller venue. It doesn't feel the same to me.
I couldn't have you more disappointed in me when I tell you this, because I know you're going to be like, what the hell?
What?
So last Tuesday, I was supposed to go see The Funeral Portrait and The Pretty Wild at Club LA. And I got off work at 6:00 and said, you know what? I'm not driving to Destin. I'm going home. And
sometimes it's like that.
I was like, oh, but I couldn't do it. I didn't have enough energy in me to drive an hour, go to the show, and then drive 2.5 hours home. So
I feel that.
I will tell you what I do have energy for, and that is for our guest tonight.
I'm so stoked.
I'm super excited about this. I want to thank Eric Baker with SMR for helping hook this up. I just randomly texted him, and I was like, dude, that new Autumn King song is fucking fire.
It's so good.
He's like, you want to interview him? Well,
yes.
Fuck yes, I want to interview him.
Yes, you do.
So we're lucky enough to have Jake with us tonight, and we are going to talk all things Autumn Kings, including just recently within the last year and a half or so signing with Hopeless Records, their build up to get with Hopeless Records, how they grinded, how they did it themselves, how they made their own fucking lane. And we're going to do all of that right now. So we're going to bring Jake in from Autumn Kings. Jake, how are you?
What up? Thank you for the lovely intro. I feel like a rock star right now.
I felt good. I had it all written down. I didn't even look. Yeah. I just started talking.
Yeah, dude. That was impressive. Yeah, it was just airtight, just rattling it off. I love it. Great to be with you both.
So I will tell you this. I didn't know a lot about you guys, honestly, until Hellbound.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Hellbound came out, and I was like, I really, really dig this. And I dug in a little bit. And then when Gone, Gone, Gone came out, I listened to it, and that fucking riff right off the bat of that song, I was like, and you heard me while you were back there, I text Eric, and I was like, this shit's fire.
Nice.
Then I really dug into everything.
Yeah.
And just digging into all of your previous stuff and all of that, and ended up being Echo.
Yeah.
Ended up being one of my favorites out of everything you've done.
Oh, love that. It's one of our favorites too.
I hear Echo, and I think this is good for sports. This is good for, one of those hype videos for a football team before the start of a game or anything like that. So fill us in. I know you guys are originally from Canada.
Yeah.
So fill us in on the start of Autumn Kings and where you came from and where you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. Autumn Kings started in a small town called LaSalle, Ontario, which is about 15 minutes away from Detroit, really a stone's throw away. The most southern point, I was just telling Lisa off camera, the most southern point in the massive country geographically that is Canada. So we grew up with a lot of American influences in entertainment, whether it was sports like the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Lions, or 101 The Riff, the rock station, or 89X, things that really helped shape our taste in music. And I grew up going to concerts. I went and saw AC/DC, my first concert in 2009 with my dad at the age of 12. First time I smelled marijuana in my life. And he said, if you ever do that, I'm going to kill you. And I can't say I've always been faithful to that promise, but I've mostly been. And my love for rock music started between seeing AC/DC and the video game Guitar Hero 3. That's really what sparked my curiosity and interest in music. I was sort of socially awkward an outcast in school. I had a small group of friends, and my outlet was that video game, and I became concerningly good at it. I was like playing songs Before I Forget by Slipknot backwards, memorizing the buttons, concerning level, right? And I had the good sense paired with the influence of my parents of picking up a real instrument when I was 12. Well, why don't I stop being such a dork and actually learn how to play an instrument? And it was Rock Band around the same time as Guitar Hero that got me interested in drums. I wanted to be a drummer first. But I had to negotiate with my parents. They said, we'll get you a drum kit, but you have to learn the guitar. I guess they put guitar up on a higher pedestal. And I was like, fine, reluctantly, okay, I'll learn how to play the guitar. And I ended up learning the guitar, and turns out that was one of the greatest compromises that I ever made, because that is my main instrument. That's what I spend most of my time doing now. And through self-learning on the internet, God bless the internet, man. I don't know what I would do without it. I mean, I guess back then they had tab books, but the internet was huge because I could watch interviews of rock stars and buy the propaganda of how great it is to not care as much about doing well in school and do rock and roll and learn any songs that I want to learn. Between that and meeting Joe through a serendipitous encounter at a grocery store called Freshco, which is like, I don't know what they have in where you guys are from, like in Virginia or in Alabama. They have like Kroger down there, or Aldi and rest. Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that equivalent, Freshco in Canada. Joe was a banana boy, I call him. He was stacking the shelves with stacking the produce, and I was a cashier. And so I was not very good at that job. Got fired, terrible employee, blah, blah. But what I did get from Freshco is that I met Joe in a break room, and we just started talking. We both had the same break one day, and it was, hey, you're a musician, I'm a musician. Oh, cool. We should start a band. We should jam sometime. One of those empty promises that you make to musicians that don't usually follow through with. And we hadn't followed through with it for about a whole year. And after a year had gone by, I was just scrolling on Facebook. This is 2014. And I saw some dude that looked familiar playing a ukulele. I'm like, this guy's got a pretty good voice. Is that Joe from Freshco? And I went back to my closet, grabbed my old BlackBerry where I'd originally saved his number, loaded it into my iPhone, texted him, hey, dude, you want to start, jamming sometime? And I gave him, to see if he was serious, I sent him a list of like 24 songs to learn, so I don't want to mess around, play games. And he learned everything in 2 days. He learned 24 songs. And what's really funny about it is I was supposed to be the original lead singer only, and he was supposed to be just a backup singer. But as soon as I heard him open his mouth and sing 3 Days Grace, I was like, wow. Can you do that one more time just to make sure that my ears weren't deceiving me? And he ended up taking, the role of the lead vocalist. And I've ended up doing a lot more lead vocals over the years, but it's an awesome formation story. And so years and years and years of grinding, right? Being our own agent, being our own management, learning how to write songs. I didn't originally even want to write songs. I just wanted to be a guitar player. I thought that was it. But learning how to write songs was a necessity to being in a band. You have to write original music. I didn't even realize, like, the bits and pieces, all that go into making a band. Learned how to do that, mingled with producers, kept taking money we made from playing acoustic cover gigs to drunk 55-year-old middle-aged women hitting on Joe, doing all of those things, putting it back into the original songs for years and years and years of rejection. And then just when you think you're getting somewhere, 2019, 2020, COVID happens. Takes all the momentum from our feet. Touring's canceled. How are we going to survive this? Year or two go by. I'm sitting there contemplating for the first time in my life if music is even something I want to continue doing. Thankfully, that thought lasted about 2 days. And then I said, okay, get out of your crazy thoughts. And it was very hard to pull through there, but got through COVID. Simply surviving, to me, was an accomplishment. Just not giving up, the hardest thing, harder than learning how to write great songs or keep up with current production sounds. Just surviving. There's no intellect. It was just will. And 2023, we ended up just through a series of meeting people and networking, got with the management that we got now, Unchained Management, who are amazing. And they helped facilitate conversations with labels and other people in the industry, paired with the success we were already having on our own before we even got management, just through streaming and past touring success. We had gone to Asia and played for the US military, an opportunity that we'd secured on our own through our own kind of will and know-how. And that's basically a few years later, fast forward, everything started shaping up since really 2024. It's been insane nonstop and just trying to not lose our minds in the best way, though.
As I was listening to your music this morning, I went on Spotify and This is Autumn Kings. I just hit play and I wanted to listen. Yeah. And I was noticing that there was a bit of a difference between your newer tracks and your older tracks. Did you start
Mhm.
working with a specific writer or producer that was help change that sound just a little bit more, make it a little bit more polished?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, what's really interesting is we put out a song called Gone 5 days ago. I think it's been 5 or 6 days. And that was the first song in 10 and a half years of being a band that we didn't work with Marty Back, who is our longtime producer and mixer. And we're still going to keep working with him. It's just the first time. The way it came together was insane. We'd actually met Jordan from Hollywood Undead by touring with them, and he was a massive fan of the band. And that's a story I'm sure we can get into after. But that was the first song we ever actually did that didn't involve the same core group, which is me, Joe, and Marty. So a lot of it was, not to sound like we're overly giving ourselves credit, it was just our own evolution and formation and listening to new sounds, constantly doing the reps that got us to a point where we had songs like Sleeping I'm Dead and Hellbound just through repetition, sucking it out for many years. But now it's been great because with the attention that the band's been getting, the momentum, it's opened us up to a whole new world of collaborators. And that's been so refreshing just to get out of your own creative bubble, because we all have limited cognitive and creative capacity. So it's nice to get even just an inkling of inspiration from somebody else, and then you can run with that and all of a sudden have a new song that you never would have been able to come up with if you didn't have that outside inspiration. So we're by no means opposed to collaboration. We love it.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I could hear a definite difference. And it tends, like when a band works with the same writer or producer or whomever for long enough, it's almost like working in a vacuum, like when bands want to self-produce, or mix or whatever and master their own tracks. Very few can do it effectively and do it well. But I could hear a definite difference. I could hear that evolution building. And then I just felt like when Hellbound came out, it was like your coming out party.
Yeah. Totally.
It really feels like that to me. And as you release those other two singles, especially with the one you just released a few days ago, it's just gotten better and better and more refined. And I'm loving all of it. How are you guys feeling about? I mean, would you say that Hellbound is really what sort of kicked it off for you and started to really build that momentum?
Yeah, Hellbound was big. I would say I'd go one step before that. It was Sleeping I'm Dead that really opened up the world of possibilities to us. Yeah, Sleep was first. Sleep was about 6 months before Hellbound. Yeah, it was close between, but just a tad before. Really? Yeah. I call it was the same era for sure. Okay. And what happened with Sleeping I'm Dead is we got the support of Octane at SiriusXM, which was just transformative. It was huge. And it got a lot of the labels and other people perked up. And it's one thing to have just a song on Octane, but thankfully, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was a blessing that we were an independent band for 9 years, not only because we could refine our craft to such a deep level, but also because we built up a catalog of music that people could look back at and trust the credibility of the band and not think that it was just a one-off fluke with a lucky song or a lucky EP. They could see that there was consistency. Because I always give credit to the labels, contrary to the horror stories that you hear. It's a monumental risk for labels to invest in a band. When you have 3 or 4 or 5 dudes that are filled with testosterone, that are constantly fighting and grappling, and one person's girlfriend is whispering in the ears, and one person's got a drug problem, and one person's got an ego, it's very difficult for a label to put hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on the line for a band that's not emotionally stable. And so I do give ourselves credit in the sense that we proved through the years of sucking it out independently when nobody cared about us. That was the stamp of reliability, I think, in their eyes. So it started with Sleep, and then Hellbound smashed it open even further. And in my opinion, I think Hellbound, maybe tied with Gone, are probably the 2 best songs that we've ever written or put out. And that made the fans go crazy too. That was the one song where the originals were getting more excitement and hype live than the covers. I noticed that a couple months ago, because that's my big litmus test. We were playing Bleed It Out by Linkin Park for so many years, and people would always go nuts to that. And it was a great way to warm people up and get them just to know the band if they didn't know who we were before. The last tour we did with Set It Off in America was the first time that I heard people screaming for Hellbound louder than our covers. And I thought, isn't that something? Like, it felt so good. That's probably the best feeling, is when people are singing your original songs back to you. And I read this really interesting book called Mastery by an author named Robert Greene. 48 Laws of Power was the first book he put out. But he's got this book called Mastery, and he talks about, after studying many, many people who are skilled in their craft, it takes about 9 or 10 years to really start hitting your stride, assuming that you're putting in the reps and the work consistently. And they call Nashville as a 10-year town too. So kind of congruent. But we noticed that our career arc is very much aligned with that sort of science. So it's very interesting how it works out.
But that's good to know, because we're at 8.5 years now, or 7.
Let's rock. Let's rock.
Really?
2018 is when we started, November.
Come
with the
on.
family. So yeah,
Nice.
we're 7.5 years in. So good
Yeah,
to know that. Good to know that there's that 10-year mark. But I will say this: you brought it up. It's the only time I want to talk about covers, because I love a band that can do a really good cover and do it really well. I watched the video you guys did at the Sirius Octane Studios of "Bleed It Out." "Bleed It Out" is probably my favorite Linkin Park song.
Same.
Ever.
Nice.
Favorite.
And you guys fucking knocked it out the fucking park. I mean, it was fire.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know what? It's for us to be able to get exposed to music like that has made us such better performers. Joe didn't even realize he could scream that way when we first started in that band. He was a folk singer when we started. So it's amazing when you have inspiration like Chester Bennington, who I'd put in the top 10, maybe top 5 greatest rock vocalists to ever live. I really would. His versatility is just unfreaking paralleled, man. That paired with Mike Shinoda.
I wouldn't challenge you on that one. That was,
I don't say that. I don't say that lightly either. I like, we've given lots of thought to this on long van rides on tour when there's nothing to do but kill time and debate these things. But paired with Mike Shinoda's originality and coming up with production, and he was so ahead of his time using Pro Tools and splicing sounds together, all married into a hard rock heavy metal sound. So I really do appreciate that. And that was a risk in covering Bleed It Out. It was, you're stepping into a great man's shoes. You got to be very careful. You better knock this out of the park or don't do it at all.
Right. Absolutely. There is nothing worse. I was actually at a show last summer where the vocalist got up and started to sing Snuff. One of the most beautiful love songs ever written. It's epic by an epic vocalist, epic legendary musician that we all know and love. He forgot the words.
Oh, you can't do that.
I stood there with my mouth open. He laughed. I was like, oh my God.
This is not a joke.
No, I mean, for me, I was horrified. I was like, wow. When is someone coming and take this guy off the stage?
Yeah. You got to be. It's like trying to. Totally. It's like, you know, we don't ever want to cover Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. It would just be a terrible idea all around. But we love the covers. The covers helped us a lot. We did a cover of Live in La Vida Loca not decades ago. A decade ago.
I heard it when I was listening. I was like,
do it this afternoon.
Yeah.
It was great. You know, it got a lot of people curious about the band, and Bleed It Out was one of those where we stayed on par with the genre of the original song.
Right.
Both Live in La Vida Loca, we tried to do a whole 180 and see what we could do with it and turn it into hard rock. And that's part of why it went very viral online too. And it really helped just spark the fan base and spark the people who stream our music.
What was the other one I heard today? Sail. You guys did Sail.
Sail. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great song. That's one of the most unique songs to ever come out, at least in the 21st century.
So let's chat for a second. Hopeless Records. So you're on Hopeless Records. You're getting ready to head out on tour here in April with your label mates, Melrose Avenue, and is it Point North that's on that as well, or Strayview?
Strayview.
How exciting is that to hit the road with Melrose Avenue? Because you guys, I would say just over the last year or so, you guys are doing this together. Together. So totally. I
great.
wish I could see this. I wish I could. She's going to see it. I wish I could see it. But I mean, how exciting is it to actually hit the road with your label mates that are on that same path that you guys are?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome to see another band grinding hard. Shout out Commonwealth. They're from Australia. We're originally from Canada. So, and what I love the most is Vlado is a very good looking dude. So he's gonna have a lot of the female to male ratio at these shows is going to be wonderful for expanding our fan base. So I'm very excited for that. And
no doubt.
yeah, it's great to it's great when there's that level of trust that they're on the same label, and they've been at it for a long time too. Super hardworking dudes, and we're excited because a lot of fans are desperate to see us. It's been a good hot minute, and things have just really taken off like crazy these last few months. So it's going to be great to play for all these new places and new faces going all across the country, really from west to east. I'm sure when I say that, someone is going to comment on your guys' show, but you're not coming to this city. You're not coming to that. I know. We're working on it.
And it's personal, by the way. Take it personally.
Yeah. Yeah. We did it intentionally for whoever comments.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I got 3 states I can go see this show in, and you're not playing any of them.
Right. So good. Meanwhile, you go to Europe like we did last year. You go to Eastern Europe, Poland. We went to Warsaw, and people will drive 4 or 5 hours from their little farmhouse, wherever they're from, and they'll come from Ukraine and they'll come from Belarus, and you're like, WTF? And here we're like, yeah, I'll go catch them next time they come. We're just so spoiled with entertainment.
You say that, and I'm gonna throw out a stat from our radio station that we don't throw out very often. But the radio station, if you look at the countries of where our most listened to listeners are from, Poland is second behind the United States.
Amazing.
So whatever's going on over in Poland, we love it too.
Yeah.
It's wild. They were, I would say, my favorite show we did in Europe. We did 8 countries in Europe last year, and then also did the UK, England, and Scotland. Poland was singing our words the hardest. They showed up the most. They bought merch. They wanted to take pictures, like on a level that I've never seen before. And what's really awesome about Poland and really Europe as a whole is there seems to be a lot less of a selfie culture there. When you meet an American after the show or a Canadian,
1,000%
different story,
correct.
right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so out of force, and I don't mind the selfies at all. I love it. And out of force of habit, I would ask the European fans, let's say in the Netherlands, hey, do you want to take a quick selfie? No, that's okay. I just wanted to talk about how Go for Gold changed my life.
Right. They respect like boundaries, personal boundaries.
Yeah. They're all about the craft and the art. And that's, of course, conditions where we like to live first, too. I mean, I get the hype and the glitz and the glamour. We're all about that, too. That's part of what we signed up to do. This is show business after all. But when you can just talk about the music and the craft, that's number one.
So I'll have to ask this, because anybody who talks about playing Europe and UK, and I don't want to kind of piss off anybody, but when from the outside looking in, she's been to the UK to see shows. Yep. You've toured there. I just get to see it from the outside in. It seems to me when you're in the UK or Europe that crowd is just a little more intense. As far as the rock music scene compared to, so if you go to a club in UK or whatever, and it's packed, and in the United States it's packed, but it just seems like when I see videos from like the UK or Europe, it just seems a little more intense as far as that first 5-6 rows of people.
Interesting. That's a really interesting thought. I need to accumulate a couple more European tours, under our belts to say. I will say, I think for the first few rows, that's absolutely true. And we had people in Europe that were following us the whole tour, which is not something that happens too often in America. It does happen, but in Europe, it's like very common.
Because the whole of Europe is the size of the United States. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna follow, you can get to that next country relatively easily and quickly. If for us, it's like going from South Carolina to Boston. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
It's so far away.
It's a massive geography difference, and that's exactly it. So whether that means that the European fans are more hardcore, I will say this. I actually found it to be a little bit different. I found them in most European countries to not be going as crazy off the jump. Maybe that's because they were just getting used to us as a first time playing. They're more like this. And we would sit there after the show. We're like, dude, did they dig this? And then we'd go to the merch table And then they opened up, and then they were like, oh my
Wow.
gosh, you guys, this was unbelievable. Where the Americans sometimes are the opposite, where everyone's like drunk. Like we did a show in Denver on the first American tour we ever did. Everyone was going crazy, like drinks up, screaming, just a drunken stupor. And then nobody bought merch after. I was like, what the heck? This is bizarre, which is not typically the case. Americans love to spend money, and that's why I love going. That's why I love playing there. But the Europeans really showed up after the show. That's when they really showed their love and appreciation for us. Now that could very well change with more tours under the belt. So I don't want to claim that that's generally how it is, but that's what it was in our experience. And they've both been great. They're great in different ways. The Europeans appreciate the craft and the lyrics and how they impacted your life. And so does everybody else. But in Europe, it was a deeper level for sure.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So we've got the video for Gone, and I want to play that. But I want you to, Jared's not here. So Jared's big thing is tell us everything or tell us nothing about.
Okay. I like this. Well, if I were to tell you nothing, that wouldn't be so entertaining for your viewers.
Well, you could tell us after.
I could tell it after. Gone. So I can say this because I'm not as married to the concept of music videos as other people are. It's really funny. When I grew up listening to Metallica, Rise Against, Nickelback, whoever it was, I never really cared about the music video. I know that's probably a hot take because I'd watch it and it was so different visually than I had envisioned it from hearing the song. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to watch this again. I'll just listen to the song. Right. But what we try to do in our songs is make it kind of close. And with Gone, this is shout out to Joe. Joe had really birthed this whole concept. It was ghost hunting, right? As you guys saw, we were just out looking for ghosts. And there were a couple of freaky reads when you got close to the dolls. I mean, the EMF detector started going off the rails at a certain doll, kind of trippy. But Gone is really about, like, on a song level, it's that grappling between good and evil that we all go through. And it's this idea that, you know, we're not necessarily good people or bad people. It's hard to generalize people as such. We're kind of always oscillating between the two, right? And Gone is that internal dilemma. So it starts off on verse 1 with a vision of a God or an angel saying, keep the faith, it's going to be okay. And then the next verse goes to, and then it was gone, right? It disappeared, poof. And then verse 2 is a devil comes in and tells you, you should kill yourself. You're not worth living. Like, it goes to the darkest, deepest possible thoughts you could have. And some people go through that, especially people with addiction. And that's kind of something that was in my head as I was writing the lyrics to that verse, you know, with Joe. And then it moves on in the song to somebody who's torn. They can't make up their mind. They're sick of never knowing their direction, looking for a sign. And there are little subtle religious undertones actually in there. It's about having faith in God. But we don't like to do it in an overtly preachy manner because we're not that kind of band. We like to allow people to make up their own minds and have their own interpretation of it. But Jordan and I, Charlie Seen from Hollywood Undead, the way we actually developed our kinship was backstage talking about philosophy and our views. And he talked about how he became a man of faith after lots of belligerence and excessive partying. And we kind of talked and we were on the same wavelength with that. And that birthed a lot of the lyrical sentiment behind Gone. And so in the music video, we tried to keep that sort of darker undertone, you know, with the color and the shade, but still have a little bit of playful element to it. Like, we are ghost hunting after all. It was a kind of fun little experience. But, you know, it's also freaky too. It's freaky stuff. I want people, I'm really curious what your viewers will think of the video.
So
we've never
Lisa,
done a video like that.
Have you seen it yet, Lisa?
I haven't.
Okay. I try to do this I'm the one that gets the videos ready for the show.
Right.
So of course I'm watching them, and they don't ever get to see them usually so we're going to get a true reaction out of Lisa on this. So we're going to go ahead and play it now. And everybody check it out. Never mind. You're going to love it. There ain't no doubt in my mind.
Yes.
Let's roll. It is Autumn Kings. It's gone. And you're watching the sound.
Super
Terrible,
creepy
wasn't
right
it?
there at the end.
That song makes me just think I can take on a brick wall.
Right.
I
Dude.
mean,
Yeah.
so
That's kind of the point. Yeah. You should be sweating after you hear it. Yes.
Right?
That means it was a success.
Well, we were talking before you came on, before you joined us earlier, before we started recording. We were talking about, Kevin was saying that like so many of your songs are anthemic. Is that
Yeah.
intentional?
Very intentional. Yeah. One of the reasons I loved Nickelback, a previously controversial band that has now undergone a great softening and people have accepted how just brilliant they are. And I do believe they are brilliant. And one of the reasons I love them and love AC/DC for that matter is they didn't dwell on the negative in life. There's so much negative. You just turn on your TV, you'll get negative. You just go on social media. The first thing you'll see is some dude you knew from 10 years ago and saying something negative about politics or something. And ever since I was 15, I wanted to take a different view where there were some bands I loved, and I won't mention their names, that had unbelievably catchy songs, but lyrically there was always a dark ending. There was never hope. And you got to give people hope and a sense of optimism. So that's something that fundamentally is true to who we are as artists. We try to always give people hope. And we believe that it's not false hope or fake hope because that's what you're taught that you're supposed to do. We truly believe it. I do think the world generally stumbles upward. And so we keep that in our music with a song like Echo. That helped a lot of nurses through the pandemic who are handling so much. I mean, we had a couple women that messaged us in Detroit that said the song got them through the most difficult period of that time. And so that makes us so happy to hear because that's exactly what it's about. I think there's become in the last 10 to 15 years too much glamorizing and fetishizing how anxious and depressed you are. I get it. We all go through those feelings, and those are valid feelings. Like we experience that stuff too. We just try not to wear it on our sleeves and focus too much on that. We want to keep a balanced picture that life can be good and you have more agency and control over your circumstances than you think. Not to minimize the things that people go through. Like we know people in our personal lives that go through a tremendous amount and it helps them, right? Because we talk about real feelings and we acknowledge the pain and the heartache. And we've felt that from lived experience too. The difference is we try not to ever let ourselves stay there. You know, we try to always give people that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I love it. I think the video is great. I think, I love when a band does something simple like this. And I just mean simple, like a band in a room with lighting. You can do so much. You don't have to spend $1 zillion on a video and make it be effective and get your point across and make people feel the emotion of the song. I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the creepy ending. I love the eyes at the end. I do. I love it. I think it's great. I can't wait to hear it live.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. It's great. I'm glad it hit your eyes well, and we're proud of it. And it's true. I mean, you can do some pretty amazing things on a not $1 million budget these days. And it's nice because and people get to see the personality of the band. And that's something that we really try to do because we as people, I was actually just talking about this the other day with a buddy. We like through the music videos reflecting who we are as people and getting a glimpse into who we are, because we're not huge on like the TikTok. We're not like hardcore about doing that. We do lots of content. We're active on our socials, but there are some people who are unbelievable pros. They love being in front of that camera and filming that content. And we're not those guys. We like doing it through long form ideally and fall in love with us and then go to our website. Where are they playing? Okay, if they're near me, I'm going to go see them play, or I'll buy a shirt online. I'll stream the music. That's kind of that's the game that we like to play. There's so much talk about how you have to have that viral TikTok or that viral thing. And we've had a few of those nice viral moments. I mean, we had one on Facebook with Live in La Vida, like we were talking earlier. Had one with a song called Go for Gold that did well on TikTok. But generally, it's just been this slow and steady thing that just keeps building and hasn't slowed down since we started in 2015.
Well, I mean, slow and steady wins the race.
And I was going to say that. And I think that's one thing that younger bands and bands starting out need to understand, that it's a slow grind. It's not, there's no, very seldom, doesn't happen very often where, I mean, 1 or 2 songs and you're golden, but for 99% of everybody else, it's a slow grind. And any advice for up and coming bands or bands starting out, what do you think they need to keep their focus on?
Oh my gosh, everything. It's terrifyingly It's terrifyingly steep of a mountain to climb. It really is. I mean, when I think back to how much the band worked and the hours we put in, not just to the creative, which is of course the most important thing. You got to have the songs, you got to have the
Right.
production. Those
Right.
two things are huge. And if you don't have that, everything else is pointless. No matter how good of a marketer you are, how much money is thrown into it. If the songs aren't great, nothing's going to make it work. I'm going to borrow advice from M. Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold. And he said this when I was 16, and I was looking up YouTube videos to see what advice that those rock stars had for the next generation. And what M. Shadows said was very fascinating. He said, the people who are going to do it don't care what I have to say. They're just going to do it anyway. So I have no advice. And I thought, dang, that's hardcore.
Wow.
Now, yeah. And I thought to a point, it's true because there are a lot of people who start. I mean, we came up and I could name for you in Windsor, you know, the home city that we're from, dozens of bands in 2015. The scene was vibrant at that point. 2 of them have survived, maybe 3, and are still doing it. It's very difficult. It's sheer willpower. A Harvard University degree could not get you through this. It's all upstairs. You do not have to be a highly educated person. And you have to want it more than air in your lungs. I wanted this. I made the conscious choice when I was 15 and said, I am not doing anything but music. Like straight up, I'm not signing a predatory record deal. I'm going to be like how Nickelback. That's why I love that band so much, because they had their stuff together off stage too. And they were an example of a band who didn't fall into the worst excesses of being a rock star. They didn't fall into the trap of getting hooked on the hardcore drugs or cheating on their wives or whatever the case may be. They were a good model where they wrote great songs. They were still super cool dudes selling out arenas, and they ran things entrepreneurially too. And I think that's the big thing that a lot of people don't think about when they start is how it really is like running a small business. It really is. It's like anything else. But we just, yeah, and we just like what you guys are doing with this show, right? It's no different. The principles are the same. But what I think people miss is, especially for musicians, they get spoiled. Or any other business, like if you don't have your stuff together and you're running like a jiu-jitsu business or something like that, or a restaurant, like you're going to go out of business. You got to pay attention to your costs. You got to pay attention to your marketing. And they do that. And that's expected that almost every other business handles those facets of it. Where with musicians, for some reason, we have this preconceived notion that you don't have to handle all those things, that on sheer talent alone, I can make it. And I don't even going to say that's 1 in a million. That's like 1 in a billion that happens. Yeah. And for the ones where it does happen, and I personally know some very big bands where that's happened, they neglect the other parts of their career and they get taken advantage of like dogs. And it's really sad. Like they'll get robbed blind from their label or managers, and they won't know what to look for when it comes to the right manager versus the manager who's just talking, who's just trying to sell you on the connections that they supposedly have, but really there's nothing behind it. We've seen all of those things, and there's a lot of sharkiness. It actually, I find the bigger the band gets, the less sharky and the less you have to kind of watch your back, because when people are winning, they kind of have an abundance mindset and they're not as worried about clawing that way.
But they've already faced all of those people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They have finally built and evolved their team to the people that they know that they can trust and that are going to get them over that finish line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find that when a band like finally starts emerging and starts getting things together, they're getting a record deal, they're getting singles. I mean, the streams are going up, everything's evolving naturally as it should. Yeah. They sort of stick it in. You know what I mean? Whoever that team is, that's it. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're not going to get those predatory things happening to them. They already know what's legitimate. They know who they can trust. And that's sort of that. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really funny you say that, because for 8.5 years, we're looking for managers and nobody wanted to take a chance on us. And we ended up getting with our people in Unchained. Jason and Matt, shout out, our managers, great, wonderful managers. And this sounds super soft, but we did a few Zooms with them where we were feeling each other out. Are we going to be a good fit to work together? And after the second Zoom call, I actually started shedding some tears, because we had been through so many chats with management. And it's like a girl who gets cheated on, or a guy who gets cheated on like by their last 4 partners. And you're like, I can't trust anybody. All men are terrible. All women are terrible. They're crazy. You're better off being single and playing video games at home. It's easy to get in that jaded mindset as an artist too, when you're looking at putting together a team, because we've seen a lot of sharky behavior that makes you question this industry, it makes you question humanity, not to get overly dramatic or neurotic about it.
Makes you
So
think
when
you're
we
going
met,
crazy.
it makes you think you are going crazy, especially I grew up with a good upbringing. Like I had family that I could trust, you know, I'm fortunate to say that. And so getting into this world, it was like, what are we doing here? Is everybody like this? But once we met our team, and then our team helped us build on the team, and you saw how trustworthy the majority of people are, at least the ones who stay in the business for a long time and are playing at the top levels. Of course, you're going to have your exceptions. And I know many exceptions of top producers who work with the biggest bands that are Sharky. I'm very aware. Most people are trustworthy and good. And you're so right. Once you get that team, you try not to let anybody go, because trust, I'd always take somebody who's 70 or 80% good at their job and 100% trustworthy than someone who's 100% good at their job and like 60 or 70% trustworthy any day of the week. Yeah, you need competence and you need character, and it's hard to find both of those in management. It really is. It's one of the, I think the hardest hurdle that the band had was finding great management who believed in us, that could alleviate some of those responsibilities. Because like I said, for so long, we were doing so much, and it was frustrating not being able to put as much focus 100% into the music, because you have to build these other pillars, or else we don't have a career and we're going to have to get other jobs. And so I think we're beyond blessed with the team. And even with Hopeless Records, I mean, they're a great record label ally in so many ways.
Right.
So,
even just, go ahead, Kevin. No, go ahead.
Nope. You were going to continue. I was moving on. So go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I think too, like there's so many people, like you said, Sharky, but also I've been talking with some other people recently, and it's like, they talk about like a lot of people act sort of just crazy, like a lot of drama. I find that there's also with those like Sharky people, there's this wild drama that plays out. And when I hear these stories, I'm literally dumbfounded. Like, how is this? Like, there are people who operate on a professional level who speak like adults. And if they have a disagreement, they talk it out. There's no shouting. There's no weird text messages. There's no insane posts on social media that sound like you belong in a mental hospital or forgot your meds the past week. Like, you don't. You have to get that team around you where you feel safe, you know, and that if you have an idea, you can come to them and you can say, this is nuts. I think it's crazy. I need your feedback. And you're going to get that honest feedback without fear of judgment or taking it personally. You get that constructive criticism, you know, and I'm so happy for you that you found that with people that you can trust. Because once you secure that foundation, the only place you have to go is up.
That is so true. And right when we got that foundation going, things have started to become insane. Like we spent those years kind of, what would you say, on the bench, waiting to get onto the rink, to give a Canadian analogy, or to get on the field, right? And then once you get on the field, it's like all systems go. And that's what it's felt like these last couple of years. And yeah, it's true. You run into drama and you run into things like that. And I think one of the reasons why you get that is because this is such a fundamentally emotional business. Like you're creating art and you're trying to monetize art. I remember something really interesting, because I went to a university in Windsor in Canada, and I studied music the first year, but it was too nerdy and I didn't want to learn about theory, and it was 5 days a week. So I moved to business school for no other reason than it was only 2 days a week. So I'm like, oh, perfect. This is more time to practice. I telling my parents who wanted me to go to school, yeah, I'll go into business. Yeah, it's a safer job. Deep down, I'm like, Tuesday and Thursday only? This is perfect. I'll use the internet. I'll cheat on all my tests. This will be great. And it's really interesting, like going, I forget where I was going with that, but in any case, with university, it's cool because you learn entrepreneurial things and you learn kind of like how to become an adult, and then you kind of go off and find your own way after that. But in any case, back to what we were talking about with the people. Can you trust the people or can you not trust the people? I think that was a big topic too. And anyway, let's just move on to the next. I actually have it's been a late night. I forget where we're
going. Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. So we're getting ready to wrap up. But before we wrap up, I wanted to talk about a few things that you got coming up. And of course, we talked about the tour of Melrose Avenue. Kicking off April 10th, going all the way through May 17th. So a month and a half. Nice there. And then you got Upheaval with Gajira,
Upheaval.
Magnolia Park, and our buddies in Kingdom Collapse will be there as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, we love those guys. We just did some shows with them with Hinder.
Yeah, you did.
And then Rocklahoma.
Beautiful. Yes,
Oh,
that's
God.
right.
You know, that's one festival I've never been to that I've always said I wanted to go to. Maybe this will be the year I go.
Dude, you should come.
And then where I will see you at will be at Rockfest up in Wisconsin, which is going to be my first time attending Rockfest, but it's going to be fun. So
Crazy lineup. Everything's crazy lineup.
You guys got a pretty good summer lined up, ready to go.
Yeah, it's shaping up very nicely. These are all festivals we've never played before, so it's going to be great. We're in the presence of many giants and legends. It's awesome. And we're working with Jordan, Charlie Scene from Hollywood Undead. I think we're on. I think it's Rockfest that we're on the same bill there, if I saw it correctly. And Papa Roach, Limp Bizkit, it's the Gojira. Yep. It's insanity. It's really the inner child in us cannot believe the people that we get to share the stage with.
As you can see your smile and you can see the excitement coming when you were starting to name some of those bands. As a band, and it was bands that you've kind of watched and as you evolved, these are kind of the bands that you kind of focused on of, hey, this is where we want to be at. Now you're playing same stages with them. How hard is it to just kind of get into the tone? Okay, we're doing a show. Shit, Jacoby Shaddix maybe standing side stage watching us. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I remember sitting there even backstage with Cody from Hinder a couple months ago, and I'm like, bro, on Friday nights when I was alone and did not have a girlfriend and I was 15, I was watching your music videos, and now we're kicking it on your tour bus. You're offering me a hit. And we're talking about your music success stories, and we're exchanging phone numbers. Hey, text me anytime. It's surreal. It's unreal. I've really put on a good poker face to not kind of show my fanboying, but I feel lucky. And then you realize more, the last year or 2 years, you meet so many rock stars that you kind of get used to it. They're just people. Yeah. And I've been that way for a very long time. Ever since we met Kid Rock, we did a residency with Kid Rock at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit back in 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow.
Around when you guys started this. And we met Bob, and Bob was just a stand-up guy. He's exactly as you would picture he is. Like no difference. And sitting there talking with him, you realize, okay, this is cool. And this is just a dude who worked really hard. Do not let the Coors Light or any of the wild things he says fool you. Like, he is a very, very intelligent guy, and did not get there by accident. So I'm in awe. I try to learn from everybody. How was it going through Lips of an Angel? What was it like when you worked with this producer on that? And was it hard with the temptations of fame? Like, I'm talking to Cody on the tour bus, and we're exchanging ideas, and he's giving advice. It's awesome.
By the way, and since you brought it up, Cody is ultimately my favorite person in the music business.
Yeah,
I've known Cody for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Absolutely. You brought him up, and I could hear my brain start to smile. He is such a great fucking dude.
We've interviewed him how many times now?
2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Since
we've done the show, he's always been nice. If we've gone a little while without having an interview, I'm like, hey, you want to come back on and let's chat some shit. So
yeah.
It's been great.
He's always just a good old Oklahoma boy, man. And
he is.
He's still involved in every aspect of Hinder. Like, he's looking at the bus, like, hey, does this need an oil change? Yeah. And I'm like, wow. It's very easy to become complacent at that point in your career with the success you've had. And he's still hungry. I mean, I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, we pay cash for all of our stuff because my dad was a bricklayer. And so I like to, keep that sort of vibe. Like, you got to work for it and earn it. And I'm like, how cool is that? Just a humble, down to earth dude.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Never mind Melrose Avenue. We interviewed them how many months ago, Kevin? Like last summer, I think we interviewed
them. It was last summer.
Yeah. Nicest. Vlado and Chad were the nicest, kindest, most humble people. And the interview was amazing. I am so excited to see you on this tour with them. Have you met them yet?
No, we have not met them yet. No, we're going to end up meeting them right on tour, but we've exchanged lots of Instagram DMs. That's for sure.
Yeah. Nicest guys ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny. people would ask, like, what was it like touring with this band or that band? And I could say, you know, knock on wood, every band we've toured with has been awesome so far. These horror stories and these myths, certainly in my experience, have not come to fruition. And if they do, I know it's going to be few and far between, because the bar is so high, especially in America. It's so high, and people are willing. That's what I love about, like, I'm an immigrant here. I love that ethos, like that spirit of, I will work as long as humanly possible to make my dreams come true, and I do not care. Like, I'm going to risk it all. My whole band is like that. I mean, our bass player, Sky, he knew he wanted to do music since he was 18, and he has not stopped. When I mentioned earlier that a lot of these Windsor bands have kind of faded away and there are only 2 or 3 left, I can't say the same thing with Michigan bands. I know a lot of Michigan bands from early on, and there's like a will. They keep going. They don't stop. Even if they didn't see the success that they might have initially envisioned, they just keep going. And so when the bar is that high and you have so much on the line, you can't really be a dick. Like, there's not really room. You know what I mean? Some people might get away with it, but people have been lovely that we've toured with, and I'm sure Melrose is exactly like that.
Well, I tell you what, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And
of course,
this has been quite a great pleasure of listening to the music and falling in love with the music, and then meeting one of the people behind the music, and being as storytelling and as nice as you can be. Thank you so much.
And genuine.
Of course. Yes, absolutely. Thank you both. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate the time and opportunity to talk.
No, see you in Richmond.
Sounds like a plan. We'll get you on a guest list. We'll
see
just
you
fly over. Yeah. Sounds good. We'll make sure to get you on the VIP and the guest list too, by the way. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So hang on. We'll talk about it here as soon as we end this. Hold on. We'll talk to everybody.
Good deal.
Talk to everybody later.